So there were 8 things that I liked about working with AI on the album Resistance is Futile, and 8 things I didn't. Probably there's more of both, but I just, numbered lists are nice. So let's get started. The first thing I liked about it was the straightforwardness of the process. If I'm working on my own tracks, a lot of times I really want to explore everywhere it could possibly go. A chord progression or a melody comes to me, and I have to really contain myself to acknowledge that I'm not going to be able to explore every possibility, but to just let it become something. This was easier because I wasn't so attached to all the possibilities. It was a much more straightforward. The second thing I liked about it was that I was easily able to create a wide variety of tracks to play live violin with. I was able to explore many different subgenres and to just have an album with a lot of interest and variety while still having the continuity and cohesion provided by that djembe and violin part throughout all of them. The third thing I liked about it was being able to feel somewhat spontaneous while recording the violin parts because I hadn't spent that much time creating the bass parts. So if I'm making my own electronic bass part, for example, sometimes I'll spend quite a long time just designing that. So by the time I actually get to writing the violin part, I have the advantage of being very familiar with it, but it's also lost a little bit of its freshness maybe. This album, there were some tracks that pretty soon after generating and arranging, I was able to just get in and play. And sometimes with that, I just felt like I was improvising, and the first take that came out had something special and real and human in it, and I just went with it. The fourth thing I liked about it was being able to play into my strength of the violin. I really enjoy playing all sorts of instruments. I enjoy producing electronic music. I enjoy everything that has to do with making music. But without a doubt, the violin is my very best instrument. I've been playing since I was 9 years old. My heart and soul goes into the violin. So to just be able to focus on what I really excel at was nice. The fifth thing I liked is similar to the fourth. It was a great opportunity to make a very violin-centric album. If I'm producing an electronic part from scratch or working with an electronic music producer, then there's so much time spent on the sound design that I don't want the violin to distract from that. I want the violin to be an element that comes in and out, but not the focal point the whole time. Whereas with this, I wasn't attached to the sound design because the AI generated it very quickly. And so it was a great opportunity to let the violin really be the focal point all the way through, which is something that I personally really enjoy in music. The sixth thing I liked about it is that this is kind of a time capsule for how I was playing violin last month. How I am playing now is different than a couple years ago, and I expect that how I'm playing in 2 years will be different again. And so to be able to, in a short period of time, relatively speaking, to just explore many different ways of soloing, different textures, different types of melodies, and to just see how I play right now and to have that saved was really valuable to me, I think, in the context of my career long term. The seventh thing I liked about it was that it's a different workflow, and a different workflow means a different end result. It's differently interesting than if I had just made an album from scratch like I always have done in the past. The eighth thing I liked about it is something I like about every project that I ever do, which is the opportunity to grow as a musician, to grow as a person. In this particular instance, there were some tracks that really did have very interesting chord progressions that I had to take the time to study and dissect. And, there were some that I was just listening to for a while over and over to hear exactly how the chords were moving, to analyze it, and to be able to play well with it, and it had some scales that, for example, E flat minor appeared so many times. I don't know why, but it generated a lot of E flat minor, which is a scale that I don't necessarily play in that often. So I got to get way more familiar with that scale, and that was nice. Next, the things I disliked about working with AI. Subscribe and come back later if you have something more meaningful to do right now. Love you.